Full Beaver Moon, November 5, 2025. This is the first of three supermoons that Dr. Mullen will explore during this video. First, she will examine the Beaver Moon and its implications for our lives beginning on November 5th. Then, she will also explore the dynamics of the Oak supermoon on December 4th, 2025, and the Wolf supermoon on January 3rd, 2026, all of which in combination have significant effects in all of our lives and on our charts that she will examine. Along with this, she will also discuss the I3 or 3I Atlas Comet, as it's been referred to, and the implications it has on our charts during this time as well. And now we will listen to Dr. Mullen's presentation. Unfortunately, during this particular taping of the video itself was not functioning properly, so I've used a still slide of Dr. Mullen's image for this video only.
As above, so below. As within, so without. That famous quote comes from Hermes Trismegistus, and it's located on the Emerald Tablet, an ancient source of all wisdom, according to those who do Egyptology and study the ancient texts. And what they're really referring to is that the cosmos above, as above, astrology reflects what's going on here on Earth below. That's comforting because everybody seems to agree that this is a very unusual time in world history. And the science of astrology helps us to understand what exactly is going on. One of the interesting things happening right now, this is late 2025 into early 2026, is that there's a rare series of supermoons. Supermoons occur when the moon is much closer to the Earth. The moon doesn't really swell in size, but it looks like it does. And the very largest supermoon ever recorded will be the Beaver moon on the 5th of November. And I have a horoscope here of the Beaver moon that we will look at to see how it's affecting everything. The Beaver moon, like all of the moons, has an ancient name. The Native Americans and also people in early pre-Christian Europe and other parts of the world used the moon as the first of all the calendars. And throughout the agricultural year, the different moons would have different names. The Beaver moon is the time when the beavers would build their beaver dams for the winter, and also when beavers were harvested for their beautiful beaver fur. And so the Beaver moon was named in honor of that. This full moon also has another name. It's the frosty moon and sometimes the mad moon, because it's a time when people would seem to go crazy. There was much less light in the sky. Today we call that seasonal affective disorder, but it used to be called madness. Maybe it still is madness when there's less light and more darkness. So the full moon on the 5th of November this year, it changes from year to year, will be the Beaver moon. And taking a look at it, the Beaver moon has, of course, a Taurus moon. The moon is always full when it's across from the zodiac sign. We have Scorpio as the zodiac sign. The Taurus moon relates to agriculture. It has a special tie with the ears, and sounds, unusual sounds and music can especially affect people. There is a grouping of placements on the Pisces-Aries cusp, including the North Node, the planets Saturn, and Neptune. This is a time of endings and new beginnings. We have Mars in Sagittarius conjoining Mercury very closely. This will make everyone a little bit blunt, outspoken, and direct. It also shows a special interest in animal companions, especially large dogs and horses. Jupiter, the largest, luckiest planet in the heavens, is in its sign of exaltation, Cancer. This shows a strong focus on concern about family members, heritage, and a special interest in real estate. A symbol for the degree of this full moon reads, a dark and somber curtain closes the mouth of a cave. This suggests dark undercurrents happening, and there's something extremely interesting going on in the heavens. Back in July of 2025, there was a mysterious visitor from outer space that entered our solar system. It's called Comet I3. I is for interstellar, and 3 is because this is only the third object of this type in all of history that has ever been recorded that comes as a visitor from somewhere in deep space. Maybe it's another conscious organism, a message from the great beyond that we never see the end to, but it's causing a lot of attention. Different people are saying they're getting channelings through Archangel Raphael from it about a change in the fate of humanity. And the comet is quite brilliant to look at if you can find a dark sky and a clear night. And at the present time, it's going around the sun and heading back toward the Earth. It first passed us around in October. And I have discovered or I'm looking at a way to put it in our individual birth charts. Every astrologer in the country is going crazy over trying to figure out how to chart the comet, what it'll mean. But we can take one look at the news every night and see that something is going on, that it definitely has a power. Additionally, last night, which would have been the 3rd of November, the sun had kind of a temper tantrum, and it blew a huge cloud of plasma, like multiple sunspots, and it's aiming right toward the Earth and headed this way. So look for there to be electronic disturbances in technology, unusual weather, and different behavioral patterns that are atypical in both people and animals. A very good way to study astrology is just to learn about the moon and the lunar phases really well. You can be a very good astrologer. In fact, the earliest almanacs, the Farmer's Almanac and others, suggested just learning about the moon and using the moon as a guideline. And the first step is to recognize when there's a full moon coming up. Anyone who works, say, in an emergency room or with people or animals know that that is a wild and crazy night, especially if it happens to be a Saturday night. And that's another thing, the pattern of the days of the week. But the full moon affects the tides, human body chemistry, and it's when there's a super moon, it's like the full moon is on steroids for that time. Now, the 2 weeks before the full moon is the time before the new moon. So things that have been going on since the new moon before the full moon can reach a peak. And we can look in our own lives and then also in world history and see how that might be. For example, the full moon on the 5th of November, the new moon back on the 21st of October. Events and interests that began then will seem to culminate under this Beaver moon. And so we'll be able to see how this is going to affect us. The 13th to the 14th degree of Scorpio is where the sun is placed as all of this is occurring. And that's the degree that I'm using to interpret how the wild and crazy comet, I3, it's called, capital letter I, not I as in looking out of my eyes. And then again, 3 because it's only the third interstellar object, how it's affecting each of us. If you should happen to be a Scorpio or Scorpio rising, it affects the first house. And even if you don't know your whole birth chart, you can use this guideline. The first house is your personal appearance, the way you come across to others, and it has a bearing on health. If you happen to be a Sagittarian, the crazy wild energy is going to be affecting you in your second house, which is financial planning and source of earned income. And I do have two Sagittarians, very employable people that are out looking for work among my private clientele. And I know that that's affecting them already because both of them have been working in the same jobs for years, which disappeared. But they'll, I'm sure, find another one in divine order because it's all in divine order. If you happen to be a Capricorn, it would have to do with state of mind, communication, but also siblings, sisters, brothers, and neighbors. There can be some unusual situations there. If your birth sign or rising sign is Aquarius, it's all about your fourth house, which is your residence. You might want a new home, remodel the current one, also to seek interesting information about one's ancestry and possibly changing anything around the home to make it more comfortable and appealing, maybe renovating or purchasing appliances. Pisces, it's all about love for you. The fifth house, romance, and also fun games and hobbies. If you should happen to be an Aries, it would relate to your daily routine schedule, service work, and small pets such as cats, birds, small dogs, or bunnies, and getting organized, getting order out of the chaos around you. Seventh house, Taurus, everything as far as the supermoon and the comet would go. And again, the explosion on the sunspot is affecting your relationship sector, the seventh house of marriage and other partnerships, business and personal. Geminis, it's your eighth house. That has to do with mysteries, research, also financial investments, insurance settlements. The eighth house is an especially broad specter house. The death of loved ones and the afterlife. Well, this doesn't predict a death around you, but communicating with the afterlife through a seance or memories and keepsakes and wills and estate planning can be important. If you happen to be a Cancer, it's the ninth house. Distance travel, philosophy, religion, in-laws, grandparent, grandchild relationships, and anything to do with journeys of the mind or body. For you Leos, it's the 10th house. Career, fame, fortune, public visibility will be affected. Virgos, the 11th house, which is your long-term hopes and wishes and dreams. Also, clubs, groups, or organizations you might be involved with. If you happen to be a Libra or Libra rising, this influence has a 12th house flavor. And that means that you will want to spend more time alone and doing quiet acts of goodwill, random acts of quiet, charity, volunteer work, sacrifice, helping others in need, perhaps a family member or friend who is in need and needs special help. Or if you work in, say, a caregiving industry, like being a professional caregiver, and you are a Libra, that could especially affect you. Well, there's a little journey around the zodiac, and in the weeks to come between now and the end of 2025 and the beginning of 2026, see if that doesn't have an effect on you. And we'll see if my research project about what Comet I3 might mean and the solar explosion could possibly bring to all of us. So we have three cosmic biggies here. From the play Julius Caesar by Shakespeare, there's a famous quote about comets. When beggars die, no comets are seen, but the heavens themselves blaze forth the death of princes. Well, it's a little dramatic, and that is Julius Caesar. But if we look at princes around the world, Prince Andrew has been having a rough time of it. And also, this could apply in modern times to people that are in a position of power and authority, whether it's within a large company or maybe within a country, national or international thing. But it's just a very, very interesting kind of cosmic alert. By the way, a name that some people are using for the comet is Atlas. You'll notice that we use a lot of mythological terms in astrology, and that's because when the mythologies were established, they were really talking about planets, Venus, Mars, and so forth. Anyway, Atlas is the name being given to the comet, and you might think of Atlas as a map, but in mythology, Atlas was the father of the Pleiades sisters in the constellation Taurus. And so again, this refers to like a father figure. And there are some people who've been using an AI program, this just boggles my mind, to translate what the comet is saying. And they claim they've used through sounds to figure out that it's saying it's coming in peace, it's related to us, it's a creator, it's cosmic. And then there are other energies that say not to trust them, that it's dangerous. So I say just think things through and be a little bit careful if you meet any aliens out there, because very possibly, if some of the channelings are right, they are in touch from the outer world. And everyone seems to agree that they're observing us. And if you look at some of the traditions of religions around the world and faith, there are a lot of references to angels, to the second coming of a great Christ figure. Even the Native Americans have a tradition around that. So this could be the time, and this is just a very interesting way to sort of look at what's going on. Well, let's move ahead to the next supermoon. And the next supermoon after the Beaver moon is going to be the full oak moon. That'll be on December the 4th of 2025. It has also the name of the cold moon and the long night moon, among others. The symbol that goes with the degree of the zodiac, which happens to be 13 degrees of Gemini, is a vast number of circles or figures, a vast number of quadrangles. And the message is to rationalize and to have very technical, critical thinking skills. And any planets you have around 13 degrees of Gemini will be affected, especially by the next supermoon. And that'll be affecting, of course, the Yuletide Christmas holiday season. This supermoon has a grouping of placements in the sign of Sagittarius, including Mars, the Sun, and Venus. So there could be a lot with sports and games, with animal rights, protecting animals, pets, special pets that we have. And there's also going to be a trine between the full moon and the planet Pluto, which will be in Aquarius at that time. There's also a retrograde pattern affecting Jupiter, which could show a lot going on with family, home life, and memories. Communication and the educational system, all the different types of schools from preschool all the way through graduate school, are strongly affected by the full moon on December 4th. And that full moon will have a bearing on what begins with the new moon preceding it. And that new moon is the new moon in November, which will be on the 20th of November. So from the 20th of November, kind of realize that events unfolding, things you're doing, are going to come to the moon's light. That'll be also a super moon. To date, it won't be quite as bright or quite as close as the one coming up on November 5th, but it'll still appear much closer, brighter, and bigger than a regular full moon really does. Moving ahead, we have the winter solstice coming up, and we have the wolf moon, which is also has the names of the long night moon, and sometimes it's also called the cold moon or the moon of Yule too. And this is the moon that correlates with the shortest, darkest days of the year. And looking at the new moon before that full moon, which will be on January 3rd, we will be looking at the new moon right at the end of 2025. because this is January 3rd of 2026. That's the 19th of December. So events from the 19th of December on will be culminating on January 3rd. This is called the wolf moon because that's a time when hungry wolves would be wandering. It was a time when there were wolves and people were traveling by wagons or even walking or on horseback when they might be accosted by hungry wolves. The totem of the moon, the wolf, has a very benevolent, protective quality in many traditions. And those of you who enjoy animal totems might relate especially to the full wolf moon. That's traditionally the full moon closest to the winter solstice. Sometimes it occurs in December, but this year it'll be a super moon again, and it will be on January the 3rd during the period of 12th night, the 12 days of Christmas of 2026. It's 5:03 that morning, so as it sets that morning in some areas, it'll depend on your time zone. You'll be able to especially enjoy that full moon. That moon will be at 13 degrees of Cancer, and it shows a symbol of someone delving into small matters, doing research, going into things in depth. This full moon conjoins the planet Jupiter in Cancer. This will be very favorable for you if you happen to have a lot of water signs in your natal chart. The water signs are Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. If you don't, though, it'll be favorable for family situations and also for resolving food shortages. There are many people who tragically are in a food crisis right now, at least here in Central Florida where I live and other parts of the country and the world too. And there should be some light ahead and ways to resolve, ways to get the food supplies to those in need. The Cancer supermoon also refers to housing. And for those who are unhoused, who really don't have a home, there can be some other options or home situations opening, which sounds good. There's a grouping of placements in Capricorn under the full wolf moon on January 3rd. These include Venus, the Sun, and Mars, and also the planet Mercury. That's a very powerful stellium. For those of you who have a lot of Earth, Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, that'll be apropos to you. You'll have a burst of energy, ability to communicate with others, and many creative ideas coming to the surface. So those are some ways to make these unusual and interesting times apropos to each of you. I'm Dikki-Jo in Orlando, Florida, astrologer and parapsychologist and paranormal investigator, wishing you a happy new year of 2026. And I hope you've enjoyed the study about what's going on and why, and how important the comet really is. It may be bringing all sorts of materials into our solar system from faraway places beyond us in outer space, different types of minerals, rocks, stardust, who knows what. Just a very interesting time. And if you hear of some of the channelings coming through, these are people who do mediumship, psychic and spiritual messages to translate what's going on. It's interesting to consider and look at those at any rate. Have a very happy new year. And I've enjoyed presenting this to you. It was an interesting project to look at, and I hope you've enjoyed it.
Thank you for watching the video. Reverend Dr. Dikki-Jo Mullen has been gifted with several psychic learning styles that she has developed over her lifetime. Each of us has been gifted with innate psychic learning styles as well that we may choose to develop. Reverend Dr. Dikki-Jo Mullen is an astrologer, psychic, and parapsychologist. She provides astrology, psychic, rune, and tarot card readings. She provides face-to-face and Zoom readings and seances. She offers webinars, face-to-face individual and group sessions as well. Here are Dr. Mullen's social media sites. Her email recently changed. She offers inspirational insights on her WordPress site. She has more than 200 related videos on her YouTube channel, and also maintains a Facebook page. Reverend Dr. Dikki-Jo notes that use of the internet enhances the psychic energy of her work. She observes that this is a result of the fusion of her earthbound energy, her psychic energy, and internet energy working together. She encourages you to explore and develop your innate psychic learning styles.